The Royal Guard's plasma rifle hummed to life as the transport pod breached atmosphere. Captain Marcus Chen didn't flinch when the hull screamed, metal groaning against Valthorian air. 3 years stationed on this moon colony, and he'd never been summoned to the capital city. Guards didn't get summoned. They got orders, deployments, death notifications. This felt wrong. The pod's door hissed open. Purple sky. Twin suns casting amber shadows across crystalline towers that shouldn't exist according to human physics. A Valthorian honor guard waited, their forearms crossed in what might be respect or threat assessment. Hard to tell with a species that communicated through scent as much as words. Captain Chen. The tallest one spoke universal with a clicking accent. "The Princess Lyra Esta requires your immediate presence." Marcus's hand stayed near his sidearm. "I'm a colonial security officer. You have an entire royal guard. She requested you specifically." That was impossible. He'd never met royalty. Never wanted to. His job was perimeter security at the human settlement. Breaking up bar fights, filing reports. Not whatever this was. They led him through corridors that shifted color with the ambient light, past courtiers who stared at his human form like something dragged from deep water. The Valthorians were tall, elegant, their skin holding the opalescent quality of pearls. He was mud and scars and regulation haircut. The throne room doors opened without sound. Inside, the queen sat elevated on a dais of living crystal. She didn't move, but Marcus felt her attention like weight on his chest. Beside her, a younger Valthorian in flowing robes watched him with violet eyes that seemed to catalog everything. "Captain Chen." The princess's voice carried like music. "Thank you for coming." Because I asked. She descended the steps with inhuman grace. 3 months ago, you stopped a riot at the trade district border. Do you remember? Valthorian extremists had attacked human merchants. The situation was escalating toward massacre when Marcus talked down the mob leader, convinced him that violence would destroy the treaty both species needed. 2 hours of negotiation while blood dripped from his split lip. I did my job. You saved 47 lives. 18 were my people. 29 were yours. You didn't distinguish. Lyresta stopped 3 paces away. Royal protocol said she shouldn't be this close. You spoke to them about shared future, children learning together. Markets where both species prospered. You believed it. I still do. The queen's voice cut through the room like a cold wind. Princess, enough theater. State your purpose. Lyresta's hands trembled, all 4 of them. Mother, honored court, witnesses assembled. I invoke the right of heart's declaration under the old covenant. She turned to Marcus, and her eyes held something that made his breath catch. Captain Marcus Chen, I ask you to marry me. I pledge this with all my heart, my station, my future. I ask you to stand beside me and build the bridge our peoples need. Marcus heard his own heartbeat, loud and human and impossibly fast. Your Highness. His voice came out steadier than he felt. We barely know each other. I know enough. I've watched you for months. How you treat the Valthorian children who wander into your sector. How you learned our language, our customs. How you stand in the space between our worlds and refuse to choose a side because you believe we're stronger together. Her lower hands clasped before her chest in the Valthorian gesture of absolute sincerity. I need someone who sees what we could be, not what we fear. I'm nobody. A soldier. Not even an officer in any real sense. You're exactly who I need. The treaty is failing, Marcus. Extremists on both sides grow louder. In 5 years, maybe less, we'll be at war, unless something changes. Unless someone proves that humans and Valthorians can be more than suspicious neighbors. She stepped closer. I'm not asking you to love me. Not yet. I'm asking you to help me save both our peoples. Marcus looked past her to the queen, who sat motionless as carved stone. Her expression revealed nothing, but he saw calculation in her eyes. This wasn't spontaneous. The princess had permission, or at least hadn't been stopped. What if I say no? Pain flickered across Lyresta's face. Then I respect your choice. And I find another way, though I believe this is our best path forward. The right of heart's declaration is sacred. I cannot unsay it. My feelings are now public record. You have 20 minutes to answer. And, if I say yes, then you become Prince Consort. My partner in all things. We face the opposition together, human and Valthorian, and we prove that unity is possible. She held out her primary hand, palm up in the human gesture she'd clearly studied. I'm asking you to take a chance on something impossible. Isn't that what humans do best? Marcus stared at her hand. 3 years ago, he'd shipped out to this colony, thinking it was punishment for speaking too freely about integration policy. Now, a princess who could have anyone was asking him to marry her to prevent a war. He thought about the Valthorian kids who showed him their bioluminescent skin patterns, the human merchants who'd started learning the scent language, the possibility of something better than fear. The queen leaned forward slightly, her first movement since he'd entered. Watching. Judging. Marcus took Lyraesta's hand. Her skin felt cool, slightly textured, alien and familiar at once. I need one promise, he said quietly. We do this honestly. No political marriage where we smile for cameras and hate each other in private. If we're building a bridge, we stand on it together. Lyraesta's smile could have lit the room. All my heart, Marcus Chen. I promise with all my heart. The queen rose from her throne, and the room seemed to hold its breath. The next 6 days shattered any romantic illusions Marcus might have harbored. The engagement announcement triggered immediate chaos. Human colonial administration demanded emergency sessions, and the Valthorian noble houses erupted in barely concealed fury. Death threats arrived hourly through encrypted channels, targeting both of them in creative detail. Marcus sat in what was now his quarters, a suite in a royal palace that cost more than his entire settlement made in a year. Lyraesta paced, all forearms gesturing as she parsed through the latest diplomatic crisis. The Tarvan house is threatening to withdraw their support entirely, she said, her scent shifting to something bitter. Anger he was learning to recognize. They're claiming I've dishonored the crown by choosing an alien. Never mind that the crown's entire purpose is protecting all Valthorian interests, which includes not going to war with humanity. The human side isn't better. Admiral Karos sent me a private message. Very polite, very clear. He thinks I'm a traitor who's been seduced by alien propaganda. Marcus pulled up the holographic display showing protest crowds outside the palace. We've got demonstrations from both species now. At least they're united in hating this progress. Lyraesta's laugh was sharp. She stopped pacing, her shoulders sagging. I'm sorry. I knew this would be difficult, but the speed of the backlash is worse than my projections. Marcus moved to stand beside her, careful not to touch without permission. They were still learning each other's boundaries. What did your mother say? She said nothing since the throne room. No approval, no condemnation. Just silence. Lyraesta's upper hands rubbed her temples in a gesture Marcus recognized from his own stress responses. The queen's silence is its own message. She's watching to see if we're strong enough to survive this. Ask me after the Integration Council meeting tomorrow. The meeting room was designed to intimidate, with tiered seating that put petitioners far below the council members. Marcus and Lyraesta stood in the center, surrounded by representatives from both species. Some faces showed open hostility, others careful neutrality. None showed support. Counselor Harash, human, spoke first. Captain Chen, you understand this marriage violates several protocols regarding fraternization with alien dignitaries. Those protocols apply to military personnel attempting to leverage their position for personal gain, Marcus replied evenly. The princess initiated contact. I'm accepting her proposal, not pursuing her. Semantics. Counselor Ventera, Valthorian, her scent sharp with disapproval. Princess Lyraesta, your choice brings shame to the royal bloodline. Humans are aggressive, short-lived, incompatible with our culture. Counselor, are you suggesting the royal family lacks the wisdom to choose appropriate partnerships because that same bloodline negotiated the treaty you benefit from? Or a political treaty, not a genetic merger? Huh, we're not having children, Marcus interjected. The room went quiet. We've discussed it. Our biologies aren't compatible without extensive intervention, and neither of us wants to raise kids in this environment anyway. This is about diplomacy, not dynasty. Harash leaned forward. Then what is it about, Captain? Really? Marcus met his eyes. It's about proving that we can exist in the same space without destroying each other. Look at this room. We're on the edge of violence, and why? Because two people from different species want to build something together? If we can't handle a marriage, how do we handle shared colonies? Trade disputes? Resource allocation? He gestured between himself and Lyraesta. We're the easy part. We're two individuals making a choice. If that threatens you, the problem isn't us. Then Counselor Ventera's scent shifted to something thoughtful. You speak boldly for someone with no political experience. I speak honestly because I don't know how else to speak. They questioned everything: Marcus's background, Lyresta's judgment, the timeline, the implications, the security risks. By the end, Marcus's legs ached from standing, and Lyresta's scent had cycled through every variation of stress he'd learned. The council dismissed them without decision. They would deliberate. Walking back through the palace corridors, Lyresta's hand found his. All 4 of her arms hung loose, exhausted. You were magnificent in there. That's different. You were honest, which is what we need. She stopped at an intersection where light filtered through crystal walls, painting them both in amber and violet. Marcus, there's something I need to tell you before we go further. Okay. I wasn't entirely truthful in the throne room when I said I'd been watching you for months. Her violet eyes met his. I've been watching you for a year, since the first week you arrived. You got lost trying to find the market district and ended up in a restricted area. You could have been arrested, but you apologized in broken Valthorian and asked for directions like it was the most natural thing in the world. My guard reported it as a security concern. I saw the footage and thought it was funny. You've been stalking me? I've been hoping for you. For someone who saw us as people instead of problems. Her lower hands clasped together, nervous. When you stopped that riot, I knew. This wasn't infatuation or exotic attraction, it was recognition. You're building the world I want to create. A year is a long time to watch someone without talking to them. I'm royalty. We don't exactly have coffee dates. She smiled slightly. Also, I was terrified you'd say no. I almost did. Why? He considered the question seriously. Because you were right. Humans do impossible things. And because when you held out your hand, you were shaking. Someone who's willing to risk everything for peace deserves a partner who will stand with them. Lyresta's scent shifted to something warm, pleased. I'm going to kiss you now, if that's acceptable. Very acceptable. Her lips were cool against his, the texture different but not unpleasant. The kiss was brief, careful, a promise of learning to come. When they parted, she was smiling. The council will probably reject us, she said. Probably. And we'll have to fight this every day for years. Mikely, you're okay with that? Marcus squeezed her hand. I'm a soldier who fell in love with a princess trying to prevent a war. Nothing about this was ever going to be easy. They walked together through the amber light, 2 figures learning to share space, while outside the palace walls both their worlds waited to see if the impossible could become real. The wedding took place under heavy security. Snipers on the crystalline towers, energy shields around the ceremony space, protest barriers holding back crowds that screamed slogans in 2 languages. Marcus wore his dress uniform because he owned nothing else formal. Lyresta wore traditional royal robes that shifted color with her emotions, currently showing determined silver. The officiant was neutral, a Quelvan mediator from a species that had brokered the original treaty. They spoke the words in Universal, then Valthorian, then Human Standard. Marcus repeated his vows, feeling surreal, like watching himself from outside his body. I, Marcus Chen, take you, Lyresta, of the Valthorian royal house as my partner. I promise to stand with you, to build with you, to prove that our peoples can share more than fear. Lyresta's voice was steady. I, Lyresta, take you, Marcus Chen, as my partner. I promise to honor you, to learn with you, to prove that love is stronger than division. They exchanged tokens. Lyresta gave him a crystal that held captured starlight, a Valthorian symbol of eternal commitment. Marcus gave her his grandfather's compass, a human tradition of finding direction together. The symbolism felt heavy, weighted with meaning beyond the objects themselves. The officiant pronounced them married. The crowd's reaction was mixed, cheers and curses tangling in the air. Marcus kissed his wife and wondered if this was bravery or madness. The queen attended but didn't speak. She watched from her elevated position, her expression unreadable, and left immediately after the ceremony concluded. Her silence felt like judgment deferred. The reception was worse. Both human and Valthorian dignitaries attended out of obligation, circulating like wary predators. Marcus stood beside Lyresta, shaking hands and accepting congratulations that felt like threats. Admiral Karras approached, his military bearing rigid. Captain Chen, or should I say, Prince Consort. Captain is fine, sir. This is a mistake, you understand that. You've made yourself a target and weakened human negotiating position. His voice dropped. I hope she's worth it. She's trying to save lives, Admiral. That's worth everything. Karras's expression hardened. Idealism is a luxury we can't afford. When this falls apart, and it will, remember that I warned you. Marcus felt Lyresta's hand tighten on his arm. "Ignore him," she murmured. "He's afraid. He's not wrong. This could fall apart." "It won't. We won't let it." She turned to greet a Valthorian Duchess, whose scent radiated disapproval. "Duchess Valtorin, thank you for attending. I came out of respect for the crown, not support for this union." The Duchess's forearms crossed. "Princess, you were raised better than this. To bind yourself to a species that will be dead in a century while you live for 3? You're choosing loneliness. I'm choosing hope. If you can't understand that, I pity you." The Duchess recoiled as if struck, then swept away. Marcus admired his wife's spine, even as he wondered how many more confrontations they'd face before the night ended. The answer was 17. He counted. 17 separate people who found ways to express their disapproval, their concern, their disgust. By the time the reception ended, Marcus's face hurt from maintaining diplomatic neutrality. They retreated to their shared quarters, finally alone. Lyresta collapsed onto the resting platform, all pretense of royal composure evaporating. "That was horrific," she said to the ceiling. "That was our wedding. Supposed to be the happy part." Marcus sat beside her, careful of the elaborate robes. "Gets worse from here, doesn't it? The real work starts tomorrow. Integrating our households, coordinating security, planning public appearances that won't trigger riots." She turned her head to look at him. Having second thoughts?
"But I'm still here. Good."
"Because I need you." Her lower hand found his. "Marcus, I know this started as political strategy, a symbolic gesture to promote unity, but somewhere in the last week it became real for me. You're not just a partner in diplomacy. You're someone I genuinely want beside me." Marcus felt something tight in his chest loosen. "I was waiting for you to say that, because same. This stopped being about duty somewhere around the 3rd death threat." Lyresta laughed, surprised. "That's a concerning metric for emotional attachment. We're a concerning couple." They lay together in comfortable silence, hands linked, while outside their window the twin suns set and the protests continued their distant roar. But tonight there were 2 people who'd chosen each other against impossible odds. That had to count for something. The assassination attempt came on their 4th day of marriage. Marcus was reviewing security protocols when the window exploded inward, glass and crystal fragments preceding the plasma bolt that missed Lyresta's head by centimeters. His training kicked in before thought. He grabbed her, rolled them both behind the reinforced desk, his body covering hers while alarms screamed. "Stay down!" He had his sidearm out, scanning for the shooter. Royal guards poured in within seconds, weapons hot, securing the room. The shooter was gone, the bolt's trajectory suggesting a long-range position from the commercial district. Professional? Planned, nearly successful. Lyresta wasn't shaking. Her scent was pure fury. "They tried to kill me in my own palace. They tried to kill both of us." Marcus helped her up, checking her for injuries. "You're unharmed?" "Physically." She straightened her robes, and he saw the princess reassemble herself. "Find them. I want whoever did this identified within the hour." The investigation moved fast. The shooter was human, ex-military, hired through encrypted channels by a group calling themselves Humanity First. They'd left evidence deliberately, wanting both species to know this was political violence. The message was clear. Integration would be met with blood. Marcus stood in the security briefing, listening to the details with growing cold anger. "They used my own people to target my wife." "Not your people," Lyresta said firmly. "Extremists. Don't claim them. The whole justification is protecting human purity. I'm a traitor in their eyes." He turned to the security chief. "What's our response?" "Restricted movements. The Queen has ordered you both confined to the palace complex until we've neutralized the threat." "No." Lyresta's voice was absolute. "That's exactly what they want." I'm afraid proving that integration is too dangerous. We proceed with our schedule." The security chief's scent went sharp with alarm. "Your Highness, I cannot adequately protect you during public appearances right now. Do your best. But we don't hide." She looked at Marcus. "Unless you disagree?" He thought about fear, control, the message they'd be sending. "We proceed. But we're smart about it. Armored transport, controlled venues. And I stay armed at all times." The compromise was accepted reluctantly. 2 days later, they attended the opening of a joint human Valthorian school, the first institution designed for integrated education. Children from both species would learn together, share culture, build relationships before prejudice took root. Marcus stood beside Lyresta as they cut the ceremonial ribbon, cameras broadcasting across both worlds. He saw the protesters beyond the barriers, saw the security forces tensed for violence, saw the children inside watching with curious, unprejudiced eyes. A human girl, maybe 7, approached them shyly. "Princess, are you really married to a human?" Lyra Esta knelt, bringing herself to the child's level. "I really am. His name is Marcus." Complicated answer. Lyra Esta smiled. "Because we believe humans and Valthorians can be friends. Family, even. Do you think that's possible?" The girl looked at the Valthorian child standing beside her, a boy with opalescent skin and wide violet eyes. "Kevtor is my friend. We play together every day." "Then you're braver than most adults. Thank you for showing us how it's done." The moment was captured, transmitted, analyzed across both civilizations. A princess kneeling before a human child, discussing friendship with a Valthorian boy watching. The image went viral, spawning 1,000 interpretations. That night, Marcus found Lyresta on their private balcony watching the city lights. "You were good with that kid today." She reminded me why we're doing this. Adults are complicated, full of fear and political calculation. Children just want friends. Lyresta's scent was thoughtful. "Do you ever wish we could be that simple?" "Every day, but simple doesn't change worlds." "It doesn't." She turned to face him. "Marcus, I need to tell you something. The Queen requested a private audience tomorrow. Just me. She's never done that before, not since the engagement. I think she's finally ready to speak." "About what?" "Our marriage. Her approval or condemnation. The future of the integration policy." Lyra Esta's lower hands twisted together. "Everything. You're nervous. Terrified. My mother's opinion shapes policy. If she rejects this publicly, we lose our political foundation. We become symbolic martyrs instead of effective leaders." Marcus pulled her close, learning the way her forearms fit around him. "Whatever she says, we face it together. That's the promise we made." "Together," Lyra Esta echoed.
But her scent betrayed her fear. The Queen's private chambers were austere, decorated with ancient symbols of Valthorian royalty and conquest.
Lyra Esta entered alone as requested. Marcus waited outside, every military instinct screaming at the separation. Inside, the Queen sat reviewing holographic documents, not looking up as her daughter approached. "Mother, sit." The command was absolute. Lyra Esta sat. The Queen continued reading for another minute, a deliberate power play, before finally meeting her daughter's eyes. "You've created a significant problem. I've created an opportunity for peace. You've created a target. The assassination attempt was only the first. Intelligence suggests at least 4 more plots in development, from both human and Valthorian extremists. Your marriage has become a rallying point for violence. Change is always met with resistance. This isn't about change, Lyra Esta. It's about your judgment. You chose a human soldier with no political experience, no diplomatic training, no understanding of the complexities you face. You did this publicly, irrevocably, binding our house to a decision that could fracture both civilizations. The Queen's scent was controlled, neutral. Explain to me why I shouldn't annul this marriage and exile you both for the good of the realm."
Lyra Esta felt ice in her veins.
"Because you raised me to put the realm's needs above my own. This marriage serves those needs. How? By triggering extremist violence? By dividing our political base? By forcing me to spend resources protecting a union that may accomplish nothing? By proving that integration is possible?" Lyra Esta's scent flared with passion. "Mother, we're on a path to war. Every projection shows it. In 5 years, maybe less, human and Valthorian forces will clash over resources, territory, ideological differences. Millions will die. Both species will be weakened. And for what? Because we were too afraid to try coexistence? We have a treaty. That is coexistence. A treaty is paper and promises. Marcus and I are living proof that our species can build something real together. We're learning each other's languages, cultures, customs. We're demonstrating that the barriers between us are constructed, not inherent." She leaned forward. "You taught me that symbolic actions have real power. This is the most powerful symbol I can offer." The Queen was silent for a long moment. "You love him." It wasn't a question, but Lyra Esta answered anyway. "I'm learning to." "It started as strategy. I won't deny that. I chose Marcus because he represented the best of human values: honor, compassion, pragmatism. But the man I'm coming to know is more than a symbol. He's someone I genuinely respect, someone I want beside me. Respect isn't enough for the challenges you'll face. It's a start. Love can be built on respect, on shared purpose, on choosing each other every day despite the cost. Lyresta held her mother's gaze. I'm asking you to trust my judgment, to see what this marriage can become instead of what it currently costs. Quote, the Queen rose, moving to the window that overlooked the capital. When you were young, you asked me what it meant to be royal. I told you it meant sacrifice, that we exist to serve our people, not ourselves. I remember. Do you understand what you sacrificed? A normal life. Safety. The possibility of a partner who truly understands your culture, your biology, your future. Marcus will grow old and die while you're still in your prime. You'll watch him age, weaken, fade, and you'll continue alone, carrying the memory of this choice for centuries. The words hit like physical blows. Lyresta hadn't let herself think that far ahead. I know. And you accept that cost? If it means peace between our peoples? Yes. I accept it. The Queen turned back to her, and for the first time, Lyresta saw something like approval in her eyes. Then you're stronger than I thought, and perhaps wiser. She moved to her desk, activating a holographic document. I've been watching your husband, how he handles pressure, how he treats my people, how he stands beside you even when it costs him everything. You've been testing us. Did you think I'd allow this marriage without thorough assessment? The Queen's sense shifted to something almost amused. Marcus Chen is remarkable, not because he's perfect, but because he's genuine. He believes in integration the way others believe in faith. That kind of conviction is rare. So you approve? I approve of the attempt. The outcome remains uncertain. The Queen pulled up security footage showing the school opening, the moment with the children. This image has been viewed 8 billion times across both civilizations. 53% positive response, 32% negative. 15% undecided. Those numbers shift hourly, but the trend is upward, meaning against significant resistance. But winning. The Queen's expression hardened, which is why you must understand the stakes. If this marriage fails, publicly and catastrophically, integration dies with it. The extremists will claim victory. Moderates will retreat. We'll slide into war faster than any current projection. Lyresta felt the weight of those words. No pressure. You've made yourself the cornerstone of a diplomatic revolution. Everything depends on you not breaking. The Queen moved closer, her scent carrying something Lyresta hadn't detected before. Pride. I'm issuing a royal decree. Your marriage has my full support. Anyone who threatens you threatens the crown. Anyone who works against integration works against the realm. I'm committing my authority to your success. Mother, Lyresta's voice caught. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This makes me complicit in your gamble. If you fail, I fall with you. So don't fail. The Queen placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder, a rare gesture of affection. Make this work, Lyresta. Prove that we can be more than our fears. Show both our peoples that the impossible is merely difficult. Lyresta embraced her mother, scent and emotion mingling in the traditional Valthorian expression of family bond. I will. I promise. When she emerged from the chambers, Marcus was pacing. He stopped when he saw her face. Good news or bad? Publicly.
Lyresta felt tears threatening, fought them back.
Marcus exhaled tension he'd been holding for days. So now we just have to actually succeed. Just that. Simple. She laughed, slightly hysterical. Marcus, she made me realize something. This isn't just about preventing war. It's about building something new. A civilization where our children's children won't understand why we were ever divided. That's a long game. The only one worth playing. She took his hand. Are you ready for this? Really ready? Because it's going to be harder than anything we've imagined. Marcus thought about the little girl at the school, asking simple questions about friendship. Thought about Lyresta's determination, the Queen's calculated support, the possibility of a future without fear. I'm ready. Let's build something impossible. Together, they walked back through the palace corridors, two figures learning to share space while both their worlds watched and wondered if love could be stronger than history. The answer would take years to find. But they had time and commitment and the stubborn belief that some things were worth fighting for. That would have to be enough. 3 months into their marriage, Marcus and Lyresta established their first joint initiative, the Integration Advisory Council, composed equally of human and Valthorian representatives from civilian sectors. Not politicians. Teachers, engineers, artists, merchants, people who lived the reality of coexistence daily. The council's first meeting dissolved into shouting within 20 minutes. Marcus watched a human factory owner accuse a Valthorian trade representative of price manipulation, while a human artist defended Valthorian cultural expression against charges of propaganda. Lyraesta sat beside him, her sense cycling through frustration. "Should we intervene?" he murmured. "Let them fight it out. This is real dialogue, even when it's ugly." The factory owner admitted his supply chain concerns. The trade representative explained Valthorian economic philosophy. Common ground emerged slowly, painfully, like bone setting after a break. By the meeting's end, they drafted preliminary guidelines for mixed-species business partnerships. Small progress, real progress. Marcus and Lyraesta walked home through the palace gardens, a route they'd made habit. That was chaos. Messy, loud, inefficient, and absolutely necessary. Lyraesta's lower hands gestured expressively. Autocracy is clean because it silences dissent. Integration has to be noisy because everyone's voice matters. You're starting to sound like a human politician. Take that back immediately. He laughed and she joined him, the sound carrying across manicured lawns where Valthorian flowers glowed in the twilight. These moments of lightness were rare. Marcus treasured them. They reached their quarters to find a message waiting. Priority encryption, royal seal. Lyraesta opened it, read quickly, her sense shifting to alarm. What is it? Human mining operation violated Valthorian territorial claim. 3 Valthorian ships moved to intercept. 2 human destroyers responded. Everyone's armed and angry and one mistake away from the shooting war we're trying to prevent. She was already moving, pulling up communication channels. We need to get out there. We're not negotiators. That's what the diplomatic corps is for. The diplomatic corps has been talking for 2 days with no progress. Both sides are entrenched. They need something to break the deadlock. She looked at him, violet eyes urgent. They need us. Physical proof that human and Valthorian can work together. Marcus were the symbol they need. He understood immediately. When do we leave? Now. Shuttle's prepping. Marcus spent it reviewing territorial maps, treaty language, resource assessments. Lyraesta coordinated with both human and Valthorian commands, trying to establish communication protocols that wouldn't trigger shooting. The disputed sector was an asteroid field rich in rare minerals both species needed. The human corporation claimed legal salvage rights under Treaty Article 7. The Valthorian expedition cited historical territorial claims predating the treaty. Both were technically correct, which made resolution impossible. Their shuttle approached the standoff carefully. 8 ships bristling with weapons, targeting systems active, crews tense. Marcus felt his military training screaming warnings. This was how war started. Accidents, pride, unwillingness to back down. They docked with the human flagship. Admiral Karos met them with barely concealed irritation. Captain Chen. Princess. This is a military situation.
You shouldn't be here.
This is a political situation that's about to become military, Lyraesta corrected. We're here to prevent that. By doing what exactly? Holding hands and hoping everyone stands down? Marcus stepped forward. By reminding everyone what's at stake. Admiral, your crews have families back home. Many of them integrated communities, kids in mixed schools, businesses that depend on cross-species trade. You start shooting, all that dies. They violated our territorial claim, and the Valthorians believe you violated theirs. Who's right matters less than what happens next. You can be right and dead, or you can be alive and negotiating. Strong words from someone who's never commanded a warship. I've commanded soldiers who trusted me to bring them home alive. That's harder than commanding weapons. Marcus held his ground. Let us talk to the Valthorian commander. Find a compromise that saves face for everyone. Commander Sevkara greeted them with formal courtesy that didn't hide her contempt. Princess Lyraesta, you've brought your human to speak for his people? I've brought my husband to help find solutions. Lyraesta's scent was diplomatic, controlled. Commander, explain your position. Sevkara laid out the Valthorian claim. Historical records showing scout ships in this sector 2 centuries before the treaty. Cultural significance of the mineral deposits. Violation of sovereign space. Marcus listened carefully. Commander, I acknowledge the historical claim, but the treaty was designed to move both species forward, not litigate past grievances. If we start that process, there's no end to it. So human law supersedes Valthorian history? No. But current agreements supersede past claims, or the treaty means nothing. He pulled up the territorial maps. What if we propose joint extraction? Shared operation, 50-50 resource split, mixed crews working together, Sevkar is sent when sharp. You want Valthorian crews taking orders from human foremen? I want integrated teams where expertise matters more than species. You have better mineral detection technology. We have more efficient extraction equipment. Combine them, everyone benefits. And who commands this joint operation? Lyra Esta spoke up. Rotating command. 6-month cycles. You command first, establishing that Valthorian claims are respected. Then human command takes over, proving treaty rights are honored. After a year, we assess and adjust based on what actually works. It was a long shot. A compromise requiring both sides to surrender pride and control. Sevkara considered it, her scent shifting through calculation, doubt, reluctant acceptance. I need to consult my superiors. We all do, but we make the recommendation together. Human and Valthorian leadership united on the proposal. Marcus kept his voice even. That's how we avoid war, by presenting solutions instead of ultimatums. The negotiations stretched across 3 days. Back and forth between ships, between species, between egos that wouldn't bend without significant pressure. Marcus and Lyra Esta worked as a team, playing good cop and bad cop, applying diplomatic leverage and personal appeal in careful measures. On the 3rd day, exhausted and running on stimulants, they finally got both sides to agree. Joint extraction. Rotating command. Shared profits and shared risks. The first truly integrated operation of its kind. Standing on the observation deck watching human and Valthorian ships begin coordination maneuvers, Marcus felt something like hope. We did it, Lyra Esta said quietly. Her scent was triumphant, exhausted. We bought time. This is one incident. There will be others. We'll handle them. Together. Building precedent for cooperation one crisis at a time. She leaned against him, her forearms finding comfortable positions. Marcus, do you realize what we just did? We took a situation primed for violence and turned it into collaboration. That's what marriage is supposed to be. Not romance and flowers, taking impossible situations and finding ways through them together. He kissed the top of her head, a gesture that had become familiar. Pretty sure marriage is supposed to involve some romance and flowers too. We'll work on that after we prevent the next war. They returned to the capital as heroes, briefly. The joint extraction operation became headline news, celebrated as breakthrough diplomacy, but the praise faded quickly, replaced by the next crisis, and the crisis after that. Integration was a grinding daily effort, not a single triumphant moment. Marcus learned to navigate Valthorian politics, the subtle scent communications that conveyed more than words. Lyra Esta learned human directness, the value of blunt honesty over elegant diplomacy. They shaped each other, adapted, became something neither species had seen before, a truly integrated partnership. On their 6-month anniversary, they sat in their quarters reviewing casualty reports from an extremist bombing that had killed 12 people at an integration center, both human and Valthorian victims. Children among them. Sometimes I wonder if we're making anything better, Marcus said quietly. We push for integration and people die for it. People die in war too. More of them. We're not causing the violence, Marcus. We're exposing it so it can be confronted and healed. Lyra's dissent was sad, determined. Those children died because extremists fear change. We honor them by continuing the work. How long do we keep doing this? Fighting against hate, burying casualties, hoping eventually enough people will choose peace? As long as it takes. Until our last breath, if necessary. She took his hands in all 4 of hers. Marcus, I need to tell you something. Something I've been afraid to say. What? Not symbolically. I love who you are. How you think. The way you stand in front of angry admirals and speak truth. How you listen to frightened children and make them feel safe. I love you completely, and I'm terrified because you're human and I'm going to outlive you by 2 centuries, and losing you will destroy me, but I love you anyway. Marcus felt words catch in his throat. 6 months ago, this had been political strategy. Now it was everything. I love you too, and I'm terrified for the same reasons. But also because every day we do this work, we paint bigger targets on our backs. We might not have 2 centuries. We might not have 2 years. We build something that survives us, a legacy of integration that continues after we're gone. Lyra Esta pulled him close, their foreheads touching. Promise me something. If they kill me, you keep going. You don't give up. You find another partner, human or Valthorian, and you continue this work. Lyra, promise me. This is bigger than both of us. It has to survive our deaths. He wanted to refuse, to say they'd survive together or not at all. But that was selfishness, not leadership. I promise. But same goes for you. If I fall first, you keep building bridges. I promise, though I'll hate every moment without you. They held each other while outside their window the city lights glowed, a mix of human and Valthorian architecture, blending into something new, something neither species had built alone. The next morning, the Queen summoned them both. She stood in her throne room with news that would change everything. The Galactic Council has taken notice of our integration efforts. They're offering us a seat at the table, representing both human and Valthorian interests jointly. The Queen's sent was complex, pride and concern mixing. This is unprecedented, two species speaking with one voice on the galactic stage. It's a validation of everything you've built. Marcus and Lyra Esta exchanged glances. What's the catch? He asked. The catch is that you'll be the representatives, both of you, living among dozens of alien species, negotiating humanity and Valthorian's shared future while surrounded by civilizations that view your integration as either inspiring or threatening. The Queen moved closer. This is the ultimate test. Can your marriage survive when it becomes galactic spectacle? Mother, are you asking or ordering? I'm asking. This opportunity could elevate both our peoples. But the cost to you personally will be enormous. More exposure, more danger, more pressure than you've faced so far. Marcus thought about it. Leaving home, entering the complex politics of the Galactic Council, representing two species that were still learning to coexist. When do they need an answer? You have 1 week. They spent that week talking, arguing, imagining. The decision wasn't simple. Taking the galactic seat meant abandoning the ground-level integration work they'd built. It meant becoming symbols again instead of practitioners. It meant trusting others to continue what they'd started, but it also meant showing the galaxy that humans and Valthorians could stand united. That integration wasn't just internal politics, but a fundamental shift in how both species engaged the universe. On the 7th day, they gave their answer together. We'll do it, on one condition. Marcus stood beside Lyra Esta in the throne room facing the Queen. We bring our Integration Advisory Council model to the galactic level. Real people, not just politicians. Voices from both our civilizations who can speak to the reality of coexistence. The Queen's scent showed approval. Granted, you leave in 3 weeks. Prepare yourselves. The galaxy is about to learn what you've already proven, that love is a revolutionary act, and revolution changes worlds. As they left the throne room, Lyra Esta took Marcus's hand. Ready for the next impossible thing? They walked together into their future, two people from different worlds who'd chosen to build a bridge and then live on it, while above them the stars waited to see what humanity and Valthorians could become when they stopped fighting and started building. The impossible was happening. One day, one choice, one love at a time. And it was only just beginning.